somewhere between the 4th and 6th century in Spain, parcel arrived from Rome to the bishop there, and what it was an image of our Blessed Mother that St. Luke had created while our Blessed Mother was still here on earth. It's one of the oldest images we have of Mary. And with it, of course, was, I forget the words, but the letters of that certify, we got this in about 50 AD here, and it moved here. It had always been very cautiously taken care of. However, once Islam exploded into Spain with violence and conquest, the priest of the parish that held that image became worried of what they would do to this image of our mother, and so he buried it, and shortly after he was murdered. This incident happened somewhere in the 6th century, hard to say, AD. Okay, the name of that valley where he buried it was called Guadalupe, and it was forgotten to history. A bit later, in the 1400s, so we're talking quite a bit later, 900 years, the Christian armies began the process of trying to retake Spain. The Christians who were living there were suffering under Muslim occupation, and obviously Catholicism was sort of suppressed. You had to pay a tax. In the midst of this, a farmer who was digging in his field in Spain found this box, and what he had discovered was the image of our mother that Luke the apostle had painted and that had been buried all those years ago. He could not read, so he couldn't read the letters of Providence, but his bishop could, and when they discovered it, they decided that this was a sign from our Blessed Mother. I will be at your side as you march to free your people from Muslim occupation. From that moment on, it has been a consistent theme all through the history of Europe and North Africa that Catholics seeking liberation from martyrdom and violence of Muslim occupation considered Mary to be a key to the whole thing. Now, if you jump ahead to 1492, if you jump ahead to Europe's the first appearance of Christianity into what we call South America or Central America, nobody there knew it yet. What we do know is that in the 16th century, Christianity was not doing so well in what we call Mexico and South America. The indigenous peoples simply weren't willing to convert. And despite the lies that secular historians tell you, the church didn't oppress or torture people into Christianity back then. That's a lie. Well, our Blessed Mother appeared to a man named Juan Diego, as you know the story. And within 5 years, most of what we now call Mexico had not just become Catholic, but the kind of Catholic where you and I should take a lot of notes, huh? And the power of it was such that when modernists and Masons sought to suppress Christianity, Catholicism in Mexico, and what culminated in what we call the Cristeros, where 70% of Catholic clergy were executed or fled the country. Right? Millions of Mexicans died in the 20th century, about 100 years ago, fighting to keep Catholicism illegal. The key to all of it was what? Viva la Virgen, our mother. When Mexico made it illegal for outlawed Catholic schools in the 1920s, and the people stood and fought, she was who led the battle, our mother. When that same government suppressed all Catholic expression, no ringing of bells, priests can't wear their clerics in public, all these things, it was the Virgin Mary who was their patroness, who they cried out to from liberation. In the end, as you probably know, in that Cristeros War, it's hard to say anyone won. All those laws, most of them are still on the books. It's still illegal in Mexico for a priest to wear his clerics in public. The church still doesn't have Catholic schools in Mexico. There's a million of these laws, but they're not enforced because the government learned something important. Their people will die before they abandon our faith. And in that fighting, they knew we'll be led by our mother. All of this to say, our mother wants to be a part of our freedom from tyranny. For most of us, the tyranny is tyranny to ourselves, our desires, our passions, and we can call on her. We can hold her standard up and say, Blessed Mother, help me to say yes to Jesus today. Help me to give birth to Jesus today. And so I rejoice, and I want to say 1 million more things. Family, this was the short version of the homily. But today, as we celebrate the wonder of our mother, and as we celebrate the improbability of us during the shutdown year consecrating a new place of worship on this day, we rejoice in our mother who tells us over and over that we can believe the promises of the Lord. Amen? All right. Grateful for the intercession of our Blessed Mother, we rise